Hi, everyone. Hi, Diane. Hi, Rose. Nice to see you both again. It's the MAP program, our community that meets to talk about things that impact our pets and how we can plan for them. How's everything going for you, Diane, today?
Everything is very warm.
I can imagine. It's warm here, but we have humidity.
Yes, well, it was 110 yesterday, so we had to cancel class. So Rigel is very bored, which is why she's sitting here with me, because she didn't get to go to agility and rally last night. So she's very bored, out of her gourd, and she's turned into a billy goat instead of an Irish setter. She now eats anything she finds. She ate my glasses the other day. Was very exciting. Right.
You know,
Thank
it's
you.
interesting you said that because I'm finding that my dogs are doing things they've never done before either. I spent most of Tuesday in the vet because Monday evening, one of my dogs became a billy goat, Roxy, and she's 10. She's never eaten anything before in her life. And she decided to eat the plastic that surrounds the case of dog food that you buy, the canned dog food.
Not good. Yes.
Not good.
Well, Rigel has always been a. She's only 2. She's always been a little bit of a billy goat. Like if you leave napkins, paper towels, whatever, spoons, forks, she takes them for a walk. She never really harms them. But I was getting ready to take Chase to duck diving Monday, and I jumped in the shower and I laid my glasses on the table where the computer is, where I'm talking to you. And I got out of the shower and I looked over at Rigel and I'm like, "What do you have?" And she had chewed the plastic handles of my glasses and knocked one of the lenses out and was very happy with herself.
She was very successful in her mission, as was Roxy. So at least Rye didn't eat any of it. Roxy, unfortunately, and this is for everyone, because your dogs get bored in COVID, because especially now with the heat, because we can't take them out for walks as often as we might have since we are home, and they get bored. And so she was bored and ate this and truly ate it. Didn't just chew up the plastic. So she wasn't feeling very well. Monday night she threw up, and Tuesday morning she threw up, and she never throws up. So I sat there and I went, well, we're going to the vet. And after a bag of fluid and some barium and some Serinia, we have everything moving in the right direction. We don't think we're going to need surgery, but we had a lot of stuff in our
Thank
belly.
goodness. Thank goodness.
You know,
Yes.
it's something you don't think about when you leave them alone. And now we've been talking about this for weeks, and I'm so glad you're here, Diane, to continue that conversation about what happens when we go back to work. I know you haven't gone back to work yet. You may not go back, but they've had us with them. And so how do you um, dog proof the house while you leave? And I pretty much thought I had, because no one had ever eaten the plastic around the cans of dog food before, but they're very ingenious.
Oh, yes, very much so.
Yep.
But like I say, she's always been a little bit of a billy goat. This is the dog that costs me more in crate pads than any dog I've ever owned because when she's bored, she chews.
Yes. Yep.
As long as she has a job, she's fine. But when she's bored, she chews.
So that goes without saying that people who've had dogs at home now who have been keeping them occupied have to take a little bit of stock to understand that when dogs are bored, they do naughty things like chew or eat their bed pads or eat plastic. And so you have to sort of make a plan on how to care for those dogs. I know I've gotten so many questions from people who've watched these videos post the video, because sometimes people can't get here live, but I'm telling you, the following is incredible on the recording. So I'm so thrilled that you all are taking the time to listen to the recording afterwards. But it really does make a big difference when we're living home with our dogs to recognize how that's going to change. Diane only went into the shower and lost her eyeglasses. I did leave them alone for about 3 hours. And when I got home, there was a lot of plastic there. So I didn't think there was a lot of issue, but keep an eye on your dog, because I noticed that she didn't eat dinner. And I know that Diane will agree with me. Irish setters who miss a meal need to go see a vet.
Yes, something is wrong.
Right.
And then I don't know if I told you the week before, Flame got a spider bite.
Oh God, and that's a
Um,
big hole in their leg. Was it a leg or what was it?
it's a leg, and so we've
That's like it's
been,
almost broken.
yeah, we've been going twice or three times a week up to the vet to get it cold lasered,
Yep.
and it's healing beautifully.
Yeah.
But you know, lesson to everybody: it's summer. We have fritters. Because I at first thought she just did something to a tendon because the first day she was limping, but it was just swollen, but there was no break in the skin. And then the next morning I got up and there was this nice, pretty round hole with black around the outside that I, as a nurse, immediately recognized as a spider bite.
Yep. And those
Um,
black recluse can really, I don't know if it was yours, but I've had a golden retriever who stayed with me. He was a little puppy. His name was Diego, and we actually hadn't named him yet. And after his episode with a black recluse in my dog kennel, we called him Along Came the Spider. His name was Saquish, Along Came the Spider, and we put spider webs all over his cage because we thought he broke his leg as a puppy because he was so painful, but it was a spider bite. And then the hole came.
yes. And so we've been, thank goodness I have a house practice vet who's very wonderful, who's also my very dear friend, and she's crazy busy because of COVID and nobody being open. But I'm very fortunate because she lets me come up to her house at 8 o'clock at night and just bring the dog and we laser her on the front porch and you know, it's healing beautifully now. So
That's
I
a
don't think
blessing.
it'll have a problem.
That's a
Um,
blessing. It does take a long time to heal, but if you find it and diagnose it really quickly, which it seems you did, the healing is phenomenal. But that's a good lesson for everyone who's listening to this podcast or this webinar to understand is that you will know they'll get acutely lame, and then you often, like I did, think they broke their leg, but you'll find this, as Diane said, this black hole Texas tea at the site where the spider has bitten the dog, and you'll be able to treat it. So I want to say hi to Sally. Welcome back.
Hi, Sally.
Oh, I have to unmute her. Unmute everyone.
There you go. Hello.
How are you doing? It's
Great.
a hot one today.
It's a hot one. And talking about bugs, I have Lyme disease again,
Oh,
Oh.
no.
but not my dog. It's just me. And yeah, so this is time number 8.
Oh,
So
God.
I don't know what it is, but they seem to like me. And I'm brushing my dog more and more and more and going over every inch of her just to make sure she doesn't get Lyme. So she's relaxing in the AC.
I know, so are mine, except for, of course, Junie, who is, if you hear crashing, he's running from my office to my bedroom chasing flies. So he's in his next life. And today we saw a black cat cross the road at about 7 this morning. And everyone on that road was woken up by the blood-curdling screams of a dog who wanted to meet the black cat.
Black cat.
It was really not fun. So today I wanted to take a minute to just again remind everybody that the reason we all get together is because we want to make a plan for our pets, make sure our pets are cared for long-term, short-term. And that, of course, came across the New York Times desk again yesterday. It was interesting because I actually wrote to Sarah Maslam-Neer, who wrote the article, Caring for Pets Left Behind in New York. It is not a fantasy. People are going to the doctors, not feeling well, being admitted to the hospital, having made no plans for their pets, and then the Animal Care and Control, SPCA, come in and have to take the dogs out. Some dogs have gone without food or water for 3 to 5 days before anybody knows that the dogs are there. And if you live alone, you know that that's something that can absolutely happen to you. So you really need to make this plan and appoint caregivers and give them all the information they need about how to care for your pets. And that's why we meet every week to talk about that necessary item that you may or may not have thought about. I have to say I've talked to a few breeders over the past 7 days since our last call, and all of them think it's a great idea, and not one of them has made a plan. So
Well, I have to tell you, Deb, after Monday, when Rigel ate the glasses, I thought, I better go in and adjust my plan to tell anybody that would get Rigel that she will eat anything and to not leave things unattended around this dog, or she will get something that will harm her.
Right. And that's the piece of information that somebody will so appreciate when you're telling them. And when they're helping you either in your own home so they don't consume your items while people may be taking care of them in your own home, or if they take them to their home, they're not consuming their items. I mean, they don't want their video boxes eaten. They don't want their garbage torn apart. It really makes a big difference to make this plan. So that's why I pulled out this article again, because it's titled, it's in a sort of an editorial good news place in the New York Times, and it's titled The Vulnerable. And that's what the MAP plan covers, the vulnerable. And as Teresa said last week, there are attorneys in this world who actually do take the time to ask their owners, you know, not their owners, but the people who are coming in to make the will, their clients, if they are owners of pets. And if they are, they take the time, like Teresa let us know, to make a plan for the pet. But often trust and estate attorneys don't think you really want to spend the money to do that. So I'm here to say, please ask them how much it would cost. Make a pet trust so that it'll be outside your will in the event you get sick, and also make sure that you have the people who are going to be the caregivers for your pets, as Diane just perfectly pointed out, know all the little idiosyncrasies that could harm items that they have in their home and also harm your dog. The other piece I wanted to cover today was the question, which we've sort of touched upon every week. All the shelters are empty. And I think that's what everyone was hoping for, that shelters would be empty. However, they're filling up again with the pets of those left behind that either succumbed to COVID or are still in the hospital with COVID, maybe in rehabilitation. And so the shelters are filling up a little bit with those dogs. Not yet, even though here in New York we're on phase 4 of opening, not yet have people dropped off their shelter pets that they adopted. However, I talked to a colleague yesterday, and we felt that probably the shelters will not get the drop-off that they anticipate, because people really have understood the power of having a pet in their life. I know, Sally, you've spoken often about the power of having Athena in your life, and Diane, you've spoken as well about how they really keep us centered, but especially during this time, making a plan and making sure that the animals are cared for if something should happen to you. And I know that Sally, your husband Gordon, travels a great deal, not so much now, but may in fact again. So you have a plan in place simply to make sure if he's away and something happens to you, Athena goes somewhere, likely to me. So
Likely to you.
Unless I'm not allowed to cross state lines, and then I'm screwed.
No, then there are 2 other people.
Right. And why is that, right? Because we can't sometimes cross state lines. I mean, Europe is now thinking about seriously not allowing U.S. citizens to travel. This COVID is reaching farther and wider than you think. So it's great. And I probably know the people who you've put on staff for Athena. And I say that literally, not figuratively. They will be her staff in the event something happens.
That's
Yeah,
true.
well, now if you go from Arizona to many states, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So like, you know, if I were to go to Colorado to help out with a dog, I can't come home for 14 days. So
Yeah,
that's a whole nother problem.
It is. I mean, New York, I had my puppies who I loved, and Susie Sullivan took them to Maryland, and I could not see them because I would have had to stay for 14 days in Maryland, coming from New York, and then stay shelter in place in New York for another 14 days. And it just, you know, wasn't.
Well, Arizona is becoming the new New York, unfortunately.
I know.
I don't want to have a political discussion, so I'll just make that statement and keep my mouth shut.
No, it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate because masks are so easy to wear, and they work so at least effectively in the broader scale. They're not perfect. Nothing's perfect, but it
I'm a
just
nurse. I'm a mask advocate. But
yeah, I'm a mask advocate too. And actually, there's a woman who's a member of the Irish Setter Club of America who's making masks for free, mind you. All you need to do, which I think is a great thing for someone to do, all you need to do is call her. And if you PM me, write me at info@hamiltonlawandmediation.com or message me on Facebook. I'll give you her information. But what she requests is that you make a donation to the Irish Setter Club of America Foundation, which funds our rescue, which funds our research, which funds our health committee, which funds a great deal of wonderful things that preserves the legacy of Irish setters. So I thought that was an incredible gift that she was giving people.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's an incredible gift.
I'm a mask person.
You're the masked invader, so am I.
Yeah, I mean, like the other day, my husband says to me, "How many masks do you need?" And I'm like, "They're going to become the new fashion thing, like scarves. You're going to have one for every outfit, because you have to make something positive out of it. I mean, I've worked my whole life in masks, so I mean, to me, it's not a big deal to wear a mask. But I don't want to feel like I'm wearing a work mask all the time, even though I have plenty of them. So I've gotten all kinds of cool masks that I've ordered on the internet and from Etsy and other places. And to me, it's just fun. But plus, I wear them out for dog training and they get sweaty. Yeah. So you got to wash them. So I need to have a change of mask for every occasion.
You know, that's so smart, because you're absolutely what you said, turning what could be conceived as a negative into a positive as a fashion statement. I know I bought several of them with horses. I bought them with dog paws. I bought them with Irish setters. You name it, I have them. I also have the ones that are the paper ones that you throw away, because, those are the first ones we got. So now we're getting fashion conscious. Sally, what are you doing now to keep yourself safe?
I have to let Rigel potty. I'll be right back.
Perfect.
Rigel, let's go.
Well,
come on, I see you.
Socially distancing. We are still walking the dogs together, and everyone is walking with a mask, and we're staying 6 feet apart. And then if another person joins, people automatically put their masks on. And it seems to be working as the state is opening up more. We're very fortunate that we have a low rate of COVID right now in Connecticut, but still very cautious, not going out much at all. I went to get gas and I had on the gloves and the mask, and the dog's sitting in the back seat like, "What are you doing?" But, and she's adapted well. She just doesn't understand a little more limitations on her. So.
Right. It's interesting you said that, because my dogs are looking at me sort of funny too. And I don't walk with a mask. I probably should take one with me. But when I meet people, I always stand 8 feet away and chat with them that way. I don't chat with them next to me. No one's walking with me but the dogs. But you're right. In fact, there are some people who are walking on the other side of the street, and they pull their masks up when they walk past me. And I said, boy, they're really being responsible. And I should really start wearing it just to be socially responsible, because this is something that we can easily take advantage of, participate in, and not only keep ourselves safe, but also keep the people who are walking with us safe. So you're absolutely right. And going for gas, I've actually done two things that are interesting. I went to Jones Beach twice, and it's amazing how everybody is maintaining the 10-foot distance between blankets and the 6-foot distance in the water. Maybe not between family members. I mean, there are family clusters that stay together, but they really do maintain the 6 feet from each other in the water. And it just has been, a wonderful break in being home. So we've taken that's the sort of plunge we've taken at this point. And as I said, if you get sick, you need to make sure that you have something in place for your pets, because as the New York Times now has reported twice, well, maybe it was the Post the first time. I can't believe they're before the Times, but they are. And now the second one is from the Times, really recognizing that, you know, we sheltered in place with our dogs for so long that if in fact now we get sick, is there something we need to put in place? And the other piece of information I wanted to share with both of you, because it was so interesting today, it was in the Wall Street Journal. You know how people are anthropomorphizing dogs now as children, and I mean, there are children, we love them. But now the courts are actually taking into consideration things that they never took into consideration before vis-a-vis a dog bite. So when you come to the MAP plan, you learn all about all sorts of things that you can make a plan for your pet. If they are sort of a nervous biter or a fear biter, recognizing if you put a sign up that says beware of dog, certain courts will find that enough so that if they bite somebody, you're not going to be held liable. I found that to be incredible. But, you know, you gave them notice, they walked in your yard, your dog bit them. Buyer beware, so to speak. The other one was, and this has always been my pet peeve, and I know Diane and possibly you, Sally, when we see little kids teasing dogs and then the dogs bite them, the dogs are punished. And I always say it's about making sure the children know that they cannot do certain things to dogs and expect dogs to turn the other cheek all the time, because A, they're dogs, and B, if you hurt them, some of them will run away, and maybe that's the best of them, but some of them might turn around and take a nip. And this girl who did not recover any money, who was bitten by a dog, had pulled food out of the dog's mouth. So I get it that dogs are supposed to be bomb-proof, and most of us have dogs that are bomb-proof. But A, if you have a dog that isn't bomb-proof, let people know, because that will help the person who's taking care of your dog, and that'll help you not necessarily be sued if you're in the certain states that are taking, you know, a broader view, and make sure that people really don't tease your dogs. It doesn't help. And I know, Sally, you and I have talked about this because it is so important for people to make sure their dogs are well treated by those saying hello.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about the MAP plan, and you were talking about letting them know if your dog acts like a stallion when a cat appears.
Yes, I own one of those.
It's important for someone to know that, but it's important also. I was babysitting a friend's dog, and the dog has cancer. And I said, well, tell me your regular vet and also your cancer vet. So if something goes south, you know, I have to have both vets' names. And what does she do if she's sick? So it's important that they give you all that information, as well as rearing up like a stallion when a cat appears.
Yes, because, you know, your shoulder will be discombobulated. I mean, I have to tell you that most of the time when he sees the cat, I have been blessed to have seen the cat first. And so I can, you know, just gently gather his leash together, because I won't yell at my dogs. I just gently gather them up and I try to calm him down. And, you know, we don't have cats, so it's sort of hard to desensitize them when they're babies to cats. And I don't know, Diane, if you have cats, but if you don't desensitize them when they're young, that's something that is hard to desensitize them to when they're older. And so being aware of it as a caregiver, short-term, long-term, so you're only walking the dog for a week or two because their owner is away, or you've taken the dog and going to be taking care of it for short-term, long-term, you really need to know that stuff. Do you have cats, Diane? I'm not sure if we ever chatted.
I don't anymore. I did years ago, but none of my current dogs are exposed to cats, except we do have a lot of feral cats in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so and that's really the best.
They see them, they bark at them at the fence, but fortunately nobody tries to go over the fence to get them because they know they're just going to run away anyway. But, you know, with COVID, I have had, you know, issue like with my young dog, Rigel, because we don't have children. Okay, my next door neighbors who used to have all their grandchildren come visit no longer live there. And without shows, there's really not a lot of children. And I was walking Rigel through the neighborhood several weeks ago before it got too hot to walk. And there was this family walking the other way with like 3 little kids. And it was like, I know I shouldn't go within 6 feet of them because of COVID, but I was masked, and the two little kids were unmasked, but the parents were masked. But I did probably something that was terribly wrong. But I did have Rigel sit, and I did have the kids come up and give her a cookie, because this dog looked at these kids like they were Martians,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
she was not used to something being on her level. And, you know, she's 2 years old. She has to be exposed to things. And so it was probably not the socially distant correct thing to do, but at that moment it was the correct thing to do for my dog.
It was a wonderful opportunity you were able to take advantage of, and you were masked and the parents were masked and the kids. You know, in that article, I forgot to mention in that article at the Times about the pets left behind, so many people wouldn't take care of the pets because they thought they'd catch COVID. And we've talked about this in prior weeks, that it is very unlikely that you are going to catch COVID from a pet of a COVID positive person. And worst comes to worst, wear gloves, wear a mask, bathe it, and you'll be good. I mean, that's all you need to do. So that's the misunderstanding, and that's why we're here every week talking about this, so people know, you know, don't be so frightened. Take proper precautions like you did with the kids. It would have been good if the kids had masks on, but you know what? They likely were not COVID positive, and Rye got an experience with a Martian that she had not previously had. I know Susie Sullivan and Denise Dolans, who now have Thelma and Louise, the puppies of COVID that I had March 12th, they're having a real time getting the girls adjusted to little people, because there are no little people they can go up to. And especially Denise, because Denise has some underlying issues that she has to be really careful with, that it is difficult to get them out and about, to have them see things. I want to ask you guys one other question, because this has been something that sort of is, I have to put this in my MAP plan because I had never had this problem before. But when I started walking my dogs in March, they never bothered with anybody else's dog. They never bothered with squirrels or chipmunks. And now both of them are going into orbit. And it seems as if they've become aware of the great outdoors. Not that they lived in the house and were never, you know, latchkey children. No, they weren't. They lived with 4 acres to run in. But it seems that seeing them on the road has really made their lives different. Have you found that during COVID?
Well, we don't go anywhere other than my neighborhood and my backyard.
Yeah.
So it's the same. We have chickens and ducks that run through when we have irrigation. We have squirrels, you know, and once in a while they'll get excited about the chickens or the ducks, but for the most part, this is their usual surroundings. We're not really going anywhere different.
Yeah, that's my thing too. Sally, what about you? I know you've had bears, which were always a different thing, and thank God Athena sort of gave you the message up the leash that they were there.
I think that because there were fewer people out and about, more animals have come out, even squirrels and chipmunks. And so there is more of a presence of animals. With Athena, she saw a feral cat the other day, and she was like ready to go. You know, she was going to leave me in the dust. But I think there are more animals around because there are fewer people. So I think that I think they're very aware of it.
I think you're right, because first of all, we stopped driving. Remember, in March and April and May, we stopped driving. Really, very few people were driving on the road, so there was much less roadkill of chipmunks and squirrels. So they all made it, because people are driving more. When I'm walking, I'm seeing a few more detritus of cars running poor little animals over. So I see that and I go, wow, I didn't see that for 2.5 months, and now I'm seeing it. So recognizing these things is so very important. I want to make sure we stay on time. So we usually do this for about 30 minutes. Last week we had a few extraterrestrial people come in that were wonderful from different countries. So we addressed some of the things that they saw. But again, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the shelters that have been worried about these animals coming back. I'm hopeful that that's not the case, and that shelters really become less full, and not necessarily full of animals of people who've passed with COVID. And if you do need an animal, buying it from a preservationist breeder that will be a mentor to you, or a shelter or a rescue that also will mentor you for the benefit of the dogs and your life is absolutely key. So Sally, tell me the last thing that you want to say today about the MAP plan and your life with Athena. And I am so sorry you have Lyme again. She probably brought that tick in, and we will have to talk to her.
No, absolutely. It couldn't have been her. I just think it's a sense of.
She does nothing wrong. It couldn't be her.
It couldn't possibly be her. I think it's a sense of security, just knowing that if something were to happen to me and my husband, that there are people lined up that know the dog's, I don't know, her quirks and how spoiled she really is, and that this is, the pecking order of where the dog should go. There is a plan.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. So if something were to happen, that's one thing I don't have to worry about.
And that gives you peace of mind, especially if it's on the fridge as well. God forbid, you're home alone, that it's on the fridge so she doesn't leave with animal care and control, but rather the people you have in Connecticut will be called to come and take care of her.
Yes, peace of mind. Yeah.
Yep, peace of mind. How about you, Diane?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my plan probably is not as formalized yet as Sally's, because I'm trying to do 18,000 things at once lately. I'm sure you all know how that is. Even though I'm not employed, I seem to be busier. But, I do have the information written. I have given copies to the 3 people that, are part of my plan. It was actually kind of funny because they said, well, make sure we have a key to your house. And I was like, well, shoot, and I have to go into a hardware store. Okay, well, let me think about that. And I braced myself to go to the hardware store. I got all the way to the hardware store and remembered that I have a keypad on my door.
See? There you go.
I only use the top lock when we're out of town. Day to day, they just need a code.
I know, that's what I have on my garage. I have a code, so everybody comes in and out of my garage.
Yeah, so, I was like, obviously I'm not thinking as clearly as the rest of the world yet, but we're working on it. And when I have mentioned it, I actually was talking about it to my dear vet friend who, is one of my 3 people, Deb. And she's insane, like I say, because she's house practice and she gets no peace right now. But she said to me, Diane, I did something like that for my father when he was ill in Tucson and I was in Phoenix. She's like, it makes perfectly good sense to do it for the dogs too.
Yep.
So I'm hoping maybe I can get her on board to start maybe talking to some of her clients about that.
Come. I mean, this is a great forum every Wednesday at noon. It doesn't change. You can come. And as I said, there are so many people who are downloading it and listening to it later, which makes me so happy because it's so important that people do the little things, which of course, Diane, you do have your notes up on the refrigerator and on the door, right? So that those people, and you did tell your vet, right? So they can bring it to the vet, God forbid.
Yes. Well, and my vet is one of my 3 people, all of whom are close friends.
Right. So it's always good to have redundancy and have everybody know in case the vet can't get there. She knows that Mary Lou can get it or Josie can get it. So it's really very important. So I'm so glad both of you came today. And I'm so glad everyone is listening later on.
Is Connie
today.
Okay?
Connie is great. She had to go to the vets with her old girl. So yes, everything is good. She did write me and tell me that she apologized for not being here because I love my crew. So I am so grateful for all of you to be here. Have a great week. Remember, kiss your dogs for me. And I'm so glad that they are all set as well as can be. And Diane, you're going to keep at it.
We're going to work on it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Sally.
Bye-bye. Nice to see you. Stay cool.
Yep, absolutely.
Impossible here.